The recording starts.
Yeah, so now it started. So we just had a pretty productive meeting with product management. Overall, they are on board with the idea of creating a new team. There was no doubt at all that it shouldn't do that about this idea, and they agree that we need to do this. And we went through the specific issues that we are having, the things that we are not fully aligned with, and yeah, it seems like it's a little bit closer now, and we have also figured out some next steps on that meeting, how to get this approved. And it sounded like they also want to get this approved because of they can see how much work the community has put into building this consensus around this. So it was good. So on this meeting, it's by the way, the meeting is available on YouTube. It was public. I forgot to send the YouTube link in case you would have wanted to watch it, but it's I can send the link later in case you want to watch it later.
Okay, just post it in the Slack.
Yeah.
There, I will post the YouTube link over there. There was only there is no link yet on the Slack for that. So
No, that's what I mean. Just paste the YouTube link in the Slack channel.
Yeah, I will do so. So if anyone is interested in looking at that, I will just post it there. But basically, so what we discussed was that we went through the idea that we are on the same page on that, and it seemed like they were pretty much on the same page already at the point when we went to the meeting. Then we discussed about the topic, which was demo versus training, and we explained that the current idea is demo, and then we discussed about kind of like what are the goals, and we kind of fine-grade the goal to match into one specific use case, which is kind of like a little bit technical person, so not fully non-technical person, evaluating Drupal for some use case. It could be just like a hobbyist testing whether Drupal would work for their own use case, or it could be like a IT person from a larger company where in a case where marketing asks them like which platform should we be preferring or which one should we be choosing. So there's different use cases where technical people evaluate Drupal, but that is the main goal, to make Drupal look good for the technical people who are trying Drupal for the first time. And that also includes the developers when they're like testing out different CMSs or different frameworks, that Drupal would look good. So we agreed that creating a good demo would be very useful because obviously we need to look good. But it was also because of these are kind of the new evaluators of Drupal, and because of we want to target for the technical people. It was mentioned that we probably will have to also add to the goals that it will be a little bit about training, but this doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of what the team will be, except that the tool module will be used on the installation profile. And it will be kind of like a tour around Drupal, showing like you can do this, this, and this. So that the team necessarily doesn't have to be built itself for training purposes, in a sense that like we would really have to consider that while writing any code. It's more of a thing that we need to take care while just putting everything up at some point. also relates to the default content. So the default content can still be demo content, not like content that is designed for training necessarily, so that we can use the tour module for that. Then we discussed about the framework topic, and we all agreed that this team doesn't have to be a framework, which is good, because if that was one of the biggest concerns. And so what we agreed on was that we don't need to support like edge case use cases, such as like someone dragging the main menu from the header to the sidebar. So we don't need to support that kind of use cases by default at all. Like, obviously, because it's open source, if someone wants to build support for that at some point later, they would be allowed to do so. But that's not the goal of this idea, that we will build a team where everything is overly flexible. Also, another thing that we left out was kind of like the technical side of being a framework, so that this is not kind of a base team for anyone to build their own teams, not something that Bootstrap or some other base teams try to achieve. So that was also left out, and we all agreed that we don't need to tackle these problems on this idea. So the next steps that we have is we need to figure out, like, we need to write down very clearly what is the audience for this team, and we need to create a better issue summary still, which has all of these things figured out. So all of these things we've discussed should be somehow included in the issue summary. So that's the next step that we have. So another idea that was also brought up during the meeting was that because we are working very closely with the default content idea, that we would have separated ideas like we have right now, but we would, as kind of like how will we manage building two of these efforts, would be that we will form one initiative out of two of these, or three of the ideas. So there would be someone proposed, I think Roy or Kevin proposed, that it would be called out of the box initiative. And this team would be built as part of that initiative. Yeah. So how does all of that sound for you?
Could you say that again? I missed that last part. You're saying the out-of-the-box initiative would contain this and the default content and that other stuff? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, and experimental installation profile / new installation profile.
Okay, so wrap it all together into one official initiative.
Yeah, it was not a decision. It was just like an idea how we could manage this whole thing. Because like right now, how this works is that we unofficially coordinate with each other. Like Kevin is participating our meetings, and I'm participating some of their meetings, and
Sure.
giving feedback. So then we will be more officially formed team.
I think that makes sense. I mean, that would essentially have us working with more of the product owners for what the final end result will be.
Yep. I think it was good suggestion. So I think we could try to reform and create like a very clear like compact few sentences of like what is the audience of this team. I think that is one of the important things. So I think it would be useful to have like the ideas around this so that I can write those few sentences. So all of the different kind of like user personas that we have. So we have the technical evaluator, which just testing out Drupal. So do you have any other ideas, like what could be as part of this audience? Who is this new team built for?
You mean including? You mean like, well, you mean this same kind of people, these technical people evaluating?
Not necessarily this different. Yeah, I guess all of them are kind of technical people, but what are the different use cases where people evaluate Drupal? Just so that we can kind of create it. Because we have to still pitch that this is, I guess they got that this is useful, but I think it's still useful to kind of pitch how this is useful for these people.
So we should try to build personas for these technical people evaluating Drupal, but not these supposed customers that the market theme will need.
No, because that's part of the kind of like part of the default content initiatives, like how they built the end result. But they will also have on their idea kind of like what is their user personas, and this is also like what is the user personas of the idea, like who are we building this team for, not like who are the users of this. Oh, yeah. My language skill is now like very, like I don't know how to express it, but it's more of like on this idea, like why are we creating this new team, not like why are we creating the content of this idea, like who is the so technical evaluator from like big company would be one, and then like the hobbyist kind of person, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's, hi folks, sorry. It's not even necessarily, we shouldn't start to build personas or something. It's more like we have to be more clear about what this is and what this is not. And maybe we focus on the scenario this enables. So this is not for the scenario where big Wunderkraut service provider wants to wow a potential client with uber cool features. But this is for well, the smaller self-starter or person maybe inside a company that wants to find out that Drupal can indeed do what they think it can do. Let's not write up personas like Christina. She's 32 and she lives in Norway, and but it just what does it do for whom-ish, and then and we can make that very explicit by also stating what it is not.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was kind of what I wanted to do, but I guess this is more clear how to do it. Yeah.
Right.
So that was one of the points that we also discussed, like on the previous meeting, that this won't be the tool for big companies to demonstrate like how Drupal works for their customers, like because all of these big companies, they have their own like framework how they build demos. So this doesn't accommodate that group of people, but instead
well, I think you can help that group, because I know I do the exact same thing. We build our own demo products. But part of it is because such a thing doesn't really exist. So I wouldn't be surprised if people will start taking what we build and use that for their demos and build on top of it.
Yes.
But it can be used. There's difference between it can be useful than defining it as one of the goals of this idea.
It would be a beneficial side effect, right? If people choose to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it a primary goal, but maybe like yeah, that tertiary
Yes.
consequence. We'll keep
I mean,
an eye on it.
it could be the base, right? But this is still only core, right? And although core 8 is pretty big core, it probably does not have some of the funky features you want to demo as well.
Yeah, so it's for me it also sounds kind of like the side effect or something that is like very nice if someone decides to use it as a demo for that purposes, but also with the reasoning that like Chris gave in the previous meeting, like that it's totally different audience and totally different requirements that we would have if we would try to accommodate that group of people, that it's better to not try to accommodate like two of these different things.
Yeah.
Yes, that was one of the big clarifications in the previous hour, that those are two things and that we're leaning towards the smaller version of it, let's say, the more instructive version, whatever.
So I guess there's like the two. So this is useful for someone inside like a big IT company to not big any kind of company as like an IT person to check out like what Drupal can do. This is not useful for big companies or smaller companies to demonstrate like big wow features of Drupal. Is there something else that this is useful for?
It'll be useful for training. Because almost everything I do with training is just install Bartik. So if there's something that's actually built with predefined content, especially, the content will actually be more of a help than the theme for things like training.
Mm-hmm. As long as you're fine with throwing away what you have, then this is useful. I mean, that's one of the other boundaries of this, right? It's not something that you should expect to keep and put live.
No, never. But things like when I do trainings for clients and I need to show them how to make a view, it's nice to install a site and it already has nodes in there that I can build a view off of.
Right. Right.
Or menu items, especially.
So just a little bit about like the training use case. What specific requirements does that set for this team to be useful for training purposes?
I don't know that the theme itself has to have anything in particular for that. I mean, things that I would demonstrate are regions, placement of blocks, but just having content already existing so that I don't have to recreate it is probably the most helpful thing. So any content we can add by default, maybe custom blocks as well, and not just the programmatically defined blocks, nodes. We already have predefined content types, articles, and page. Maybe an additional user, because out of the box you just get admin, and that's it. Maybe we would just put in one or two extra users. Like a defined editor and a defined content admin or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
it would be nice to have a content type that has more fields so people understand more of the power of what they can do with content types.
Yeah. But it sounds like all of that is related to the default content more than the theme itself.
The theme itself, it just needs to probably be...
It's all part of the out-of-the-box initiative, Larry.
Yeah?
Yes.
But
yeah, I'm just trying to
choose out what the theme, yes.
Yeah, it's like, so we have these separated ideas, and then we will form an initiative out of these. So how will all of that happen?
In the theme, maybe something that we don't get anywhere, although I hope it won't confuse people, is to probably have something like a drop-down menu, because you never get that out of the box, and that has to be in the theme unless it's some module included that does it.
Yeah.
So that might help, because Bartik really just gives us the main navigation that has tabs. But if we had something that was more than just a list of links, if we do drop downs, that would be nice.
Also, at least 2 regions to
A nice
be able to
mobile-
move things. Yeah, and also mobile. Well, of course, AAA. Yeah, but yeah.
I don't even think about how difficult it is when we create the drop-down menu for Drupal. Because it's like, when you create something to Drupal, it's like 15 times more difficult than it's for any other client.
It's not really
You're
difficult.
telling
Making
us.
Making it responsive. Making it responsive is always the difficulty. Let's see. We might want to include other things like a slideshow.
No.
It doesn't have to be a whole page
You
slide.
already said that.
Oh, okay.
Just like a regular image slideshow on a landing page or something.
Someone's still using those?
You pervert.
Of course they do. You not have clients?
Yeah, that's a problem. The client.
Yeah, okay. Those
So-
projects. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's a largely content related, but maybe we can think of all kinds of different things, like accordions and widgets and whatever. But the theme itself, I don't.
Yeah.
There's not too many things that are theme dependent. I mean, the drop down is kind of theme dependent.
Maybe it's very detailed, but if I check the promoted or sticky flag, I want to make that a visible thing.
Oh yeah, maybe actually theme that.
So,
Oh, maybe we can do
About
something
this-
different for unpublished status, so it's not just the plain pink background anymore.
Mm-hmm.
about this training, one thing that someone has mentioned a long time ago, I'm not sure if it's even on this issue, is that we even have to consider how the team looks on black and white pictures while being printed in a book. And if we add this
Yeah,
whole training thing as part of the goals of this idea, will this be limiting our design decisions too much?
Right. And to add to that, I would actually consider how it projects on a screen maybe even more important, and not having fonts that are too small or too difficult to read, things like that. Once projected on smaller resolutions and on displays, they're not easy
A
to
too
see,
subtle
Yeah.
color palette, etc. That's washed out in daylight projection. et cetera.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a slight gray border which I cannot see.
I think this was also already proposed that we will use certain standard for the color contrast on the team.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
accessibility
already there.
should help with there. Yeah.
Yeah, but that even a lot of times just covering fonts. There's all kinds of other decorative places where that shows up that are just going to be hard to see. And we'll just, it's a bullet point in our list of things that we want, and we'll just have to test it when it happens.
Yes.
So, are you all agreeing that we should add this as this is useful for people doing trainings? Joseph.
Yeah.
Not as a goal, as an additional possible benefit or application of it.
Yeah,
Not,
as a benefit.
not something that
not
we're
a-
for. Yeah, as a benefit.
Yeah.
Not something that would necessarily steer our decisions.
So should we also add there that this could potentially benefit, but it won't be considered as an objective or as a
Goal.
goal for this initiative? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a goal, but by focusing on this use case, right? Not on the big
Well, I
demo
mean,
use
this is-
case, but on the small demo use case, we have.
This is why
this
you make
benefit.
personas. And you make personas and you prioritize them. And this would
Yep.
be, the trainer would be a persona, and the trainer would be third in line.
Yep.
And so you don't dismiss the things the trainer wants, but if it's clashing with your number one priority, then
Tough luck for the trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. So we should list some of the benefits as well. Like these groups of people could benefit potentially out of this, and we will try to not make it worse for them, but we won't. They are not part of the main goals of this idea.
Yeah, it's always hard to balance being succinct and being trying to be complete or in what it might do, because it sometimes is also can derail discussion. Oh yeah. I actually need a training install profile. Let me write 10 comments about how this actually should be a training profile. So,
Yeah.
well. So some of what I've learned is that it's useful to we're on air, right? No, it's useful
Yes.
to have some of your arguments, not spill them all at once, but keep some around, because some feedback you can expect some feedback, and then you can answer that feedback by yes, we thought about that, and then yes. Yes, we thought about it. Yes, training would be nice. Or yes, we thought about it, but it's not going to be the big glitchy demo, because we also think training would be helpful here or whatever. That's, I mean, it's good to hash out all possibilities in calls like this, but we don't need a verbatim listing of all those bullets in our plan, I guess.
Okay. So I'm.
If people disagree, please tell me.
I don't have strong opinion about this, and
I guess just maybe not listing a lot of them, but just the main ones. For example, the goal won't be building that for big companies like showcases for Wunderkraut. Okay, we have to say it for people that they know what we are trying to do. Also, but also some kind of some way of telling people that we are not also having the training as the main goal in somehow. I don't know how.
so I wanted to ask, how is this like useful for us to list these ideas? So I feel like we are kind of beyond the point where we have to sell this idea, because it feels
sold.
Yeah, the idea itself is sold. Like I think both Dries and Angie say it very clearly that they agree that this idea is important. So is this more to do with kind of like the sales part to answer the why question?
I think more on avoiding a new bunch of comments related to, for example, testing purposes, just to try to avoid it before they think on that and they just say, hey, you haven't thought on that.
But there's also, if we say that this will benefit people who are doing training, I guess it's also kind of subjective whether it's benefiting them, and it could also potentially cause new discussion whether this is helpful for the people that are doing training actually.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
So,
I don't have a strong opinion about that neither.
Yeah, I personally maybe start to even lean towards like not listing this, because it could be considered as a discussion point for people as well. Like whether this is helpful for someone doing training, whether this is helpful for the other group of people. So we should consider it as beneficial side effect of this idea, or of implementing this idea, but not necessarily a driver for this idea, and not probably listed anywhere at this point.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Is there any other things than so we need to create this who is this going to be for, who is this not going to be for, in order to, so can we say, even though this would be helpful for like the training, is it too much to tell that this the main goal of this is not to be a base theme for training purposes? Is it too much to say that? Or should we just leave them completely out?
I think we should be pretty explicit in the what this is not list.
Yeah, so we should list.
Does that
Do you
answer
feel
your
like we should
question?
list as many things there as possible?
I think we should have a look at the Google Doc and hash this out. Maybe.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I will send a link for a Google Doc. I don't know if you can. What is the sharing? Anyone with the link?
Ah, shit, you already have it.
Yeah. So there is. So it's in the. I will add some. Here. Yeah, so this is a few things we have listed right now. So this is not, but this is not useful, can be also, yeah, this is 40. Not 40.
Who is Keith J?
KJ.
Contributor.
Yes, in example content.
Yeah. I think he's like usability / design / that kind of things that he's done on the default content. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there is what we have right now. This is useful for a technical evaluator of Drupal inside a big company. This is not for the big companies to demonstrate big wow features. This team does not work as a base team.
One day I will remember how to write Gabor's last name.
Yeah, I'm just looking at him like that doesn't look right. Isn't there a D
Yeah.
in it?
No, it's okay. HOJTSY.
Yeah.
But his first name is still wrong.
Yeah, okay.
Which way is the thing?
Why
Yes.
do we need to specify that this is for a technical evaluator inside a big company? Why isn't it just this is for a technical evaluator?
because I guess there's like two type of technical evaluator. There is the kind of a hobbyist who is evaluating it for themselves. Then there's technical evaluator inside a big company, like in IT department or something like that.
Well, we don't think this is going to be useful for both of them.
Yes, it is.
I'm just gonna give you edit permission because this is kind of wobbly. Can you change it to edit mode now? We have to reload. I reject that.
I'm still suggesting.
You should have on the top right corner like the Jay suggesting. Maybe you can change that for editing.
I think I'm looking with the wrong Google account. So.
No. Oh, it has some internal error. How about now? Are you with the Roy Scholten?
I just switched. Now I can edit.
Okay, great. So we want to do some kind of a tour. So what is that group of people? Should we mention that this is useful for that, or should we, if it's a different audience?
I've never thought on tour about a solution for that for a technical person.
What do you mean?
That not sure if the tour itself will. Maybe yes. I'm not sure if that's that way, but I wouldn't show how the theme works with tour. I mean, I always thought more.
Oh, the tour with the team itself. I don't think it can show the team around with that. Yeah, I think you're right about that. But do we have to take something in care? Like, should we add something about that here?
Are we writing the idea or the plan?
The idea.
Okay. Plan is the tour is how. So
okay.
Not necessarily.
But so is it already included for this technical evaluator use cases, or is it a separated use case? That was my original question.
What is?
Is the tour accommodating this group of people, or was it targeted for other group of people?
Oh yeah, it was for the. Okay. Yeah. No, it was for the evaluator. Yeah, it was for the self starter and somebody. Yeah. This because the goal is success for this initiative if more people who try Drupal can. Success means seeing, hey, I can build my idea with this as
Yeah.
well, and that's we want to help that with sample content, with a better look, and potentially tours can help comprehension as well by
Yeah.
explaining some core concepts.
So is there some other things that this is not that we want to still list? So there's two only. This is not for big companies to demonstrate big file features. This theme doesn't work as a base theme. Other things that we want to list that this is not.
Well, it's already said above, but it doesn't need to make, it doesn't have to be a framework, but it's already on in another line
As a base
at the top.
or production sites.
Mm-hmm.
Base.
Well, I think we might want slightly different language in there because this is something that Angie kept bringing up a lot. That, I mean, unless she changed her mind, that they wouldn't necessarily want it to be something where if someone enabled the theme and started using it, they didn't have to throw it away. So I think the wording was more like, you could use it like any other theme, but it's not intended to be a starting point.
Isn't that the graduation towards mature, not experimental?
I think on the previous meeting we all agreed that this is
Throwaway.
This is a throwaway thing.
Well, the default content will be. This theme doesn't have
right.
to be throwaway.
That's true.
So if you use the default installation profile with no content in it, and that enabled that theme and started building your site, you should be able to use the theme as a theme for your site. It may not have all the flexibility you want, but just like if you went to Drupal.org and downloaded some generic theme that was there and used it, you'd be stuck with that too.
Yeah. This theme is not targeting, or no, that helps. It's not trying to be. Yeah, so I think this is again kind of a similar topic or a similar kind of issue that like someone could potentially use it for that, but we are not optimizing for that use case.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a very good the success. I guess that's something that was missing from the idea still. What measures the success?
So I came in late, but I'm going to quit this at this hour.
It's fine. I think this is already useful for me to start with to write the issue summary updates.
Yeah, listen back to the summary Dries gave and just write that down for.
Yeah, that was my
because
plan.
that was very good.
With
Yeah.
his words. Yeah. He summarized it to like I think 3 or 4 sentences. The whole idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. You enjoy yourselves. I'm checking out. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for helping out. I'm probably gonna check out as well, but I'm gonna update the issue summary this weekend. So we will most likely get some feedback, hopefully earlier than later. Sooner than later.
All right, if you need help with that, just let me know.
Okay, I will probably create a Google Doc for that, so I will post it on the Slack as well. Yeah.
Perfect.
So enjoy your evening / morning / night, whatever it is for you. Yeah, for me it's morning. It's 9 a.m. now. I had to wake up 6:30 for the order meeting. But yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye.